I'm going to just speak for 5 minutes because I think that there's much more interesting presentations and opportunities to hear about research. But I'm going to, in 5 minutes, tell you why research on AMD is important, and I think it's vitally important. And that's because without it, we won't be able to develop better treatments for AMD. And we need two types of research, and I think it's important to acknowledge that and recognize that. And both are equally important. So, of course, we need research that is focused directly on developing new treatments, so-called translational research, that is aimed at taking basic science and taking it through the early developmental stages before you have clinical research and new treatments. That's sort of in shorthand known as translational research. But we also need so-called basic research or fundamental research. And sometimes that's sort of forgotten about. And this is research that improves our understanding of the causes and the pathology of disease. And at UCL Institute of Ophthalmology in Moorfields Eye Hospital, Biomedical Research Centre for Ophthalmology, so mouthful, so let's just call it the BRC at Moorfields. We're committed, really committed to both types of research, because that's the only way we're going to develop these new treatments that are so desperately needed. And today you'll have an opportunity to hear about both translational and fundamental research, and not only hear about it from presentations this morning, but to talk to researchers this afternoon and at the poster session. And I think that's where you're going to be able to really ask all the questions that you wanted to ask but were slightly nervous, because there is a lot of expertise here to answer, I think, almost any question you might have, and it's really a great opportunity for us to also talk with patients and understand what it is that you want from research. We need, and to go back to fundamental research, because that's what I want to focus on in 5 minutes. We all know why we need to work on developing new treatments, but why do we need fundamental research? If we can improve our understanding of the causes and the progression of disease and better understand how it affects the patient, the better our chances of finding new and better treatments. And fundamental research is particularly important for AMD because AMD is a very complex disease and it's still poorly understood, despite its importance, despite the fact that there are many groups working on trying to understand the causes of AMD. And many factors influence whether a person develops AMD, and we need to investigate this. And in particular, we need to recognize that the eye is a very complex organ, and we still need to understand how the cells interact with each other, and in particular the role of the immune system in the eye. And we know that the immune system plays an important role in AMD, but we still don't understand exactly how it contributes to AMD. We also need to understand, and this is fundamentally important, the aging process in the eye. Because after all, age-related, we've got a clue in the title of the disease, age-related macular degeneration. And we know that aging process is really important, and factors such as diet and environment, which contribute with aging to the development of disease, are still poorly understood. And the better we understand this fundamental science, the better our prospects of developing better treatments, more effective treatments. And by understanding, for instance, the processes, we can develop better animal models of AMD. We currently don't have a truly representative model of AMD. And that makes the development of new treatments more difficult. And I think we're now seeing the evolution of models, complex models, animal models, and also models in the culture dish, which we couldn't have conceived of just 5 years ago. And better understanding of the disease will help us to identify new molecules and new pathways that we can target in order to treat the disorder. So ultimately, our aim is to use this fundamental research to develop new and much more effective treatments. In fact, radical treatments. We need radical new approaches to treating this disorder, not small incremental steps. And most of the research at the Institute and at Moorfields is actually focused on these revolutionary new technologies, gene therapy, cell therapy, because I think that's where we're going to see major advances. And you're going to hear today a lot about gene therapy and cell therapy for the treatment of AMD, and hear about the remarkable progress we're making with regard to these technologies. We're already undertaking clinical trials of gene therapy and cell therapy for the treatment of inherited retinal degenerations. And we're seeing now the first clinical benefits, and it's establishing a platform technology that we can then use to treat conditions such as age-related macular degeneration that affect so many more people. And I hope what you'll discover today is just how much progress we've made over the last 5-10 years, and you can see the prospects, and you can ask the researchers, where we're going and how long it's going to take and what we have to do to get there. But I think we've made remarkable advances, and I think we should all be encouraged about the future. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the day.
The previous speaker said that the major risk factor was age. Now, I understood I caught whatever I got from my father. Can you tell me what proportion of it is age and what proportion genetic, please?
So that's a very good question. So we now understand that there is an inherited component. There's a susceptibility to AMD that can be inherited from one's parents, and that makes someone more likely to develop AMD as they get older. But age is obviously a critical factor. No one has AMD until they reach 60, 70, 80 years old. So not everyone who reaches the age of 70 or 80 gets age-related macular degeneration. And so we know there's a genetic susceptibility, and we know the genes that predispose individuals to getting AMD when they get older. So it's both.
Another question here. Thank you.
You were talking, I don't think I need that, but you were talking about how you get macular and that sort of thing. You don't really know. Could it not be the environment that we had when we were younger, or the illnesses that we had when we were younger? Would it not be a good idea to track that aspect of it, to see if there's any relation with that?
Again, another excellent question, and there is a lot of research in how environmental factors, or how what individuals have been exposed to in their life may affect their predisposition to development of disease. And infections, because infections alter immune responses, is actually a very important topic, and there are researchers around the world who are examining the immune system of individuals to see whether that may predispose. So, as you can see from the questions, it just reinforces what I've said earlier, that it is a complex disease that can be influenced by genetics, by the aging process, by infections. We know diet may play an important role, and long-term exposure. So it's very unlikely to be something that environmental factors that late in one's life. It's a lifelong tendency, probably.
Thank you. We have another question here.
Thank you. So I'm interested in the medication side of things, and particularly in tamoxifen.
I think Dr. Tufayl, Adnan, I think would be much better to take this question.
Sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, does the medication tamoxifen affect the eye?
It can do, but not in a way that causes age-related macular degeneration. And there's actually a lot of interest in it because it, although the vast majority of people on tamoxifen do not get eye problems, it has a very characteristic appearance that we think may have an underlying genetic influence. And so there are very specific research groups looking at that and its relation to another disease called macular telangiectasia. So I think within a few years we'll have a greater understanding of why a few individuals are predisposed to tamoxifen retinopathy, where the vast majority who take it have no problems at all.
Thank you.